What's going on, everybody? Welcome to HiBruiNation, your unofficial home of the Boston Bruins. I'm Goosey, your host, and joined with me, as always, are the legends, Mr. Hattrick and the Chavo themselves. Fellas, a little weird recording on a Monday with Easter being yesterday. First off, I hope you guys had a good day off, but glad we're back in the studio talking some puck. We got a lot to talk about. Pavel Zacha's continued efforts and his stardom as he attains the NHL's third star of the month for March. The Bruins' current offensive struggles and anything and everything playoffs, which start this month and start this month, and just so much more, guys. So much more. We got a lot to cover. I don't even know where to start here. Where do you guys want to go? The good, the bad?
Let's start with the bad. The abysmal week we just watched.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Bruins go 0-2-1 this previous week, get a single point. Missed opportunities. A lot of missed opportunities. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just the same thing over and over. And by the game yesterday, I was over it. I was getting very fed up. And it wasn't that bad of a game, but a lot of just the same little nicks and errors persist while on the road still. And it's just frustrating. It's just very frustrating. The team's in there at times, but they can't put together a really complete effort. I think you guys can agree with me on that.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday specifically, Corpy had a few bad bounces, but then also like how he's played all season, then he comes out and has some unbelievable saves. So he did keep us in there. But overall, yeah, really rough start and just duration of that road trip because we have one more game and then we're back at home. So, yeah, you would like to see them start to pull it together a bit.
Are you serious?
Really?
As loves the attention from you. I swear to God, dude.
I don't know where she is. She's gone.
We have to get you some Adderall or something, or your cat Adderall. I see you like watching, you're like talking, and you're like a little owl going back and forth, like, who?
Yeah, I say who as well. I don't even know where
crap.
she is. I think she's like playing with a piece of paper somewhere. I can't even see her.
That cat is living its best life, and you're in hell.
She is. Oh, almost. But yeah, God. Zacha has been awesome. He's a bright spot on this team right now, but it seems like we're faltering a little bit going towards playoffs. And even if so, looks like we might still make it. That's great. What we work for the season, but you want to see some improvements on ends, especially in the road. So, yeah, not the best.
Honestly, full disclosure, I didn't even watch the game yesterday. It was a long day of cooking, cleaning, and hosting. And to be honest with you, it sounds like I didn't miss much. They managed to get a point out of it.
It was exciting. Like I enjoyed as much as I was gripping my head in frustration when I ripped my hair out. It was engaging. It was back and forth, and Flyers controlled a lot of the play, and the Bruins pushed back. And if the Flyers didn't get that first goal, which, yeah, it was a good shot, but I think Korpisalo wants to have that one. The trajectory of the game might have been different, but as always, the Bruins kind of get off on a bad foot, and they can't recover.
Steve, you didn't miss much in the game. I mean, it was basically boring talk-it hockey where they try to snuff you out. They definitely prevented a lot of the Bruins play in the neutral zone, so Bruins had to rely on the stretch passing, which was abysmal. And the turnovers against Philadelphia were just absolutely atrocious. The Philadelphia game wasn't the one that bothered me the most, guys. It was actually the game against Florida.
Yep.
The Tampa Bay game, whatever. Your power play sucked.
They're dominant.
Yeah, but also the power play just sucked, and then you just look at the refs and bitch the entire game of Tampa too. It's like you had 4 power plays. Quit your bitching. Like you couldn't even do anything on it. So whatever you're gonna do. The game that really pissed me off the most with the Bruins' offensive struggles was Florida. That team is decimated. You were playing their AHL team, and you just
have our number
all over you.
They really have our number.
Like that was just an embarrassing effort. Like that it was a 2-1 loss, right? So, but like still, you couldn't put up more than one goal. Like it was just embarrassing for me. It's like you failed to capitalize on that. Your failure to capitalize on the power play against Tampa Bay got you that loss, and you failed to capitalize against Philadelphia. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like those out of those 3 teams, 2 of them being Florida and Philadelphia, I think you should have won. You should have walked away with 2 points on those. Or at the very bare minimum, you should have walked away with a point against Florida. I mean, for the love of God.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, the road play is so frustrating. I think they're getting frustrated with it as well. They're getting in their heads that they are doing what you mentioned, Cammy. You know, they're cheating for offense and they're stretching. You know, because they see that their execution and on the road and just their play, it's not there. They're
Quick
fighting for it.
question.
It's not there.
Against the Philadelphia team, were they in the neutral zone? Were they running the 1-3-1?
No, I don't think it was the 1-3-1. I think it was a
No.
1-2-2.
1-2-2. And blocking off the sides, basically forcing everything to the middle. That way, yeah, the blue line, they parsed it out to the boards.
They were forcing the Bruins to actually use the sides, but they were shut off pretty quickly. Like you could just watch that game, and I guess similarly in the Tampa Bay game too. Like you could just see that the Bruins were not electing to carry the puck out when they had some opportunities to, and they were just trying to stretch the ice just too far, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it hasn't worked. And so it was just a very frustrating thing to watch. It's just like, if you have ice, take it. And then, you look at like Morgan Geekie, several times, and I believe it was in the game against Philadelphia. It was either Philadelphia or Tampa. A goal. Well, not even just buying a goal, but like he's just flinging it up. Like he's flinging it up the ice, like just randomly, and like looking for maybe hoping someone's there to catch it and get out. Like I don't know. At least in the Philadelphia game with Geekie, he was flinging it somewhere towards the net when you're in the Philadelphia zone. I just felt like the Philadelphia game was one of those games where like you overcomplicated your play so much that it took away from your opportunity to win a game.
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
That's what you missed. And like, God, that atrocious turnover by McAvoy on the power play, that like just the drop pass that Zacha had to step up. I mean, God, that was just awful. Pasternak with the dumb penalty in overtime for mishandling the puck. It's just, I get it. You played 3 games in what, 4 nights? Like that's very hard, but you guys are pros. I don't like to just use that excuse lightly, but like those are just big mental mistakes against teams that are, well, Florida wasn't in the playoffs, is not in a playoff spot. Philly at the time was not in a playoff spot. Now that they are, because you handed them the point.
To be fair, Philly has been on an absolute heater. They're the best hockey since the trade deadline as well.
Yeah, they're in the Metro now. They're basically gonna be fighting with the Islanders back and forth to get that 3rd spot in the Metro. So,
and to give credit to them is they've been hot. They ran into a hot team. And did they play the night before too?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, they're playing at home, and they're rested in the sense of the NHL standards.
Yeah, they came out a lot quicker, and then the Bruins responded later on. But yeah, they're just their game management and execution and just everything on the road. Yeah, it is lacking still.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to give a lot more credit to Dan Vladar than the Philadelphia Flyers. Dan Vladar has been absolutely spectacular for them, but still, the Bruins, at least in my opinion, are the deeper team.
They're a better team.
In my opinion.
Yeah, they should be. But
now that can briefly change. I mean, Porter Martone had a wonderful game against Boston. By the way, he was the 6th round. He was not the 6th round pick. I'm sorry. He was the 6th overall pick, 1 pick ahead of James Higgins, who's finally playing. You know what I mean? And so it's just, he had a good game, and it just makes you wonder. But then again, Philadelphia is a desperate team. So I don't know. Philadelphia played with a lot of desperation. That game really didn't frustrate me, as I kind of knew what I was going to get in that game. And you knew Boston needed to kind of battle back. The Panthers threw in the towel. You needed to win that game. And Tampa was going to be a rough game. But again, they were without Victor Hedman that game. You needed to do something there, and you didn't.
Well, and the thing that's most frustrating to me is the power play right now. And we've talked about this before, where the power play, it's just they're coming up not good. They're not scoring, and it's like to the point that you guys brought up, where they're complaining to the refs about non-calls, and it's like you had 4 power play opportunities and you didn't score 1. It's not the referee's fault you guys can't score in the power play. Like, it's not just that game. It's been throughout the whole season where the power play has absolutely been atrocious, and I do not know what's going on with the coaching and what they're trying to set up and do, because whatever it is just hasn't worked all season. It's not working.
It worked for a bit. I mean, but didn't we have one of the best power plays or up there?
They dropped to ninth, I think, or something like that. Like since the Olympic break, they
and it's since the Olympic break, it's gone down.
Yeah, it's gone down tremendously since the Olympic break. And you're right, Steve. Like, you've been given 4 power play opportunities. Stop complaining to the refs. Like, they gave you 4 power plays. You did nothing with it. So what do you want them to do? Like, they're not going to just keep giving you power play after power play after power play, even if the call looks ticky-tack. Like, at that point, they're just like, I don't know what you want out of me. You know what I mean? And then you got to look at the 5-on-5 play, too, as well. It's just like the offensive struggles are there.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? The Bruins have 3 goals in their last 3 games. So they lost 2-1 against Florida, 3-1 against Tampa Bay, 2-1 if you want to take away the empty netter, and then you lose 2-1 against the Philadelphia Flyers in overtime. It's like you're not getting the offense. You know what I mean? And the problem is
after they were for some time, but now they're not.
And I just need more out of this team. I do. Your guys need to step up. You can't keep asking Pasternak to put the team on his back and keep doing what he's doing. Like, you know, I have faith in Pasta. You know what I mean? Pasta's not the guy that I look to that just keeps needing to step up and, you know, compensate for all the rest of the whole lineup. You know what I mean? I'm looking at Geeky.
It's fine for a night. It's fine for a night, but, you know,
not for full 82 games.
Not for a full 82 games, and you're absolutely right. Where, you know, if someone's having an off game and Pasta steps up and has, you know, a 4-point night, yeah, sure. But it's like, hey, boys, like, get your shit together. People need to step up here. You know, and aside from Pasta and their second line, you know, with Zacha and Arvidsson and Middlestat, like
ghosts.
I mean, again, Morgan Geeky is like, it's tearing me in half because I wanted this guy to just score 50, and then all of a sudden he just gets a bad case of the yips, and it's just he can't even hit the net. It's unbelievable.
I don't know if you didn't watch the game yesterday, Steve. So I mean, but if you actually would have looked at the game, he was passing up some opportunities to shoot the puck. So it's like he's also snake biting himself in his own way. He had a great opportunity. I think it was in overtime, and then I think he just shot it wide, and then you could see him visibly slam his dick on. Oh my God, I'm sorry, slam his stick on the ice. I don't know. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, for that one. Holy smokes!
He slammed it on the boards. Yeah,
slam his stick on the ice, and I can't speak English today. This is really awful. I got 0 sleep last night, I suppose. Slam his stick on the ice in frustration, and boom, like, you know, that's really it. That's the end of the story. And he doesn't go out and do anything else outside of that. We're gonna have to really capture that as a blooper because that was absolutely awful. But I'm looking at Geeky. I'm looking at Reichel. I'm looking at the 4th line, which has done nothing except tie their shift, which is fine. We talked about it. Like, if you're not going to win your shift, tie it. Just don't lose it. But I still need more on that 4th line. I'm looking at Hampus Lindholm. I'm looking at Nikita Zadorov. I'm looking at all these other players outside of David Pastrnak right now and the second line to do something.
I mean, I think the Reichel aspect, I don't know. That's kind of iffy to me. He just got here and he's already put up points. You know, he was a scratch, right? I mean, he's been getting that third line going better than, you know, Eismont out there. But I don't know. Like, it's weird for me to put him in that category as well. But that 4th line is really tough too because they're not a how do I describe it? They're not a go out there and score type of line. They are there to smash bodies against the glass and change momentum, not score goals. There's a goon line. I mean, every time we talked about this off camera, where it's like every time Kastelik is out there, he gets a penalty. It's like it's unbelievable. That like they're the identity line, and I get that you need to have one, but also like we're in a race for points here. We need all the points we can get, and Kastelik keeps kind of hurting the team by getting stupid penalties out there. So let's, I don't know, change things up. That way we can get some scoring going and get something going. It's just,
I just want to point out too, Steve, we talk about you can't always rely on the top 6. Sometimes you need your bottom 6 to do work.
Oh, of course.
So in these types of games, I'm sorry, I do rely on my fourth line a little bit more to kind of set the tone and get a goal or get into a fight. And you just missed it in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Like that was just one thing. I mean, it was a bad week for the Boston Bruins for everyone except the goaltending. You know what I mean? Like
Basically.
I can't fault Swayman or Korpisalo. Korpisalo's numbers, by the way, terrible. Like he's not a great backup goaltender in the NHL. All of his numbers are just not that great, but it's kind of hard to point at him and be like, you suck when the team in front of you is just like, you actually have nights when you keep the team in it and then they can't score a goal. Like, what do you want? So if anything, as of right now, or the last 3 games, 2 of which I think you should have won, I'm not looking at Swayman or Korpisalo and saying that one's on you.
No, yeah, and I wouldn't put it on him either. There's plays from like yesterday and such where you're like, oh, you were like a save, but ultimately, no, you can't put it on them. Yeah, because the team in front of you is not going to show up. Then yeah, what can you do?
And guess what, fellas? We're back to revolving doors, line juggling. We're back to the Jim Montgomery and Joe Zacha way of doing things. And I get it. When you're a coach and your lines aren't producing, you got to do something. But eventually the line juggling just has to stop too. Like, what do you do? Like, you know what I mean?
I get why they do the line juggling, right? Like there is a time and point for a line juggle to get some people going, see what other options you can do. But it comes a point where you need to reel it back in. It's a way to send a message, but if you do it every night, what message are you actually sending?
Yeah, and what's interesting too is that Reichel is now off his emergency call-up basis. So now they have a decision they want to make there. And I think it plays into if they want to call up certain other people as well. And if they instead want to keep working with the lineup that they have, or try and change up even more, or break it up with some call-ups. So I think that's something we'll talk about, but it's interesting.
It's a good point, Jack. And you're also, by the way, NHL teams are limited to the amount of total, the call-ups or recalls that they can have per season. I don't know how close the Bruins are to that.
Yeah.
But I bet you they are wondering, do they want to convert Reichel to a regular call-up? There is no roster limit right now post-trade deadline. You just have to be cap compliant. That's the only thing you have to be. So that does beg the question, who can help? Who can help the offense start producing? Is it Patra? Is it Higgins? Is it our Lord and Savior Patrick Brown? Matej Blumel?
Is it Riley Tufte? Literally one of
Tufte?
Leading scorers in the AHL, and he's a menace out there and a big body that might be able to crash and bang for us a bit, put in a goal. I don't know.
Is it Fabian Lysell? Unlikely.
No.
But
no.
that one was a joke. That one was a joke
down there. I'm sorry.
But who is it? And who do you send down if Providence needs that person to fill the slot? Like, you might have to waive somebody. Is it Steves? Is it Asimont? Steves hasn't really played much of anything since January. Like, Asimont
since the one goal he got in the Stadium Series, it was a good goal, but
it was a great goal.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, think about it. Like, Asimont and Steves are both healthy scratches more often than not.
Yeah. For me, I'd put Patra out there. If that third line is struggling, put Patra out there. Again, these guys are, if you're worried about the Reichel situation, right, with all that, contract, call up bullshit, right? And you got 2 guys that are basically healthy scratches, almost every night, every other night. Give the kid that actually goes out there, and every time he goes to the pros, he puts points up, he does work, he plays good. Like, it doesn't. He's been called up before. There's some change.
A Minton Reichel Patra line doesn't sound that bad, but I don't know how you would fit them.
Those are 2 responsible centers.
Call up
players that
Tufte
can play center.
Call up Tufty too. Put him at the fourth line. Like, watch what happens. Maybe not. But
I don't hate. I like Reichel at the third line, but again, I also wouldn't mind taking him out in favor of giving somebody else a shot. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not against any of these things. I'm not against trying to jolt the lineup, and everyone for unbelievable and insufferable reasons are just so against. And with 4 games remaining in the season and lacking creativity, are just like, don't bring Higgins up. It's 4 games, 8 at the most, because if you get swept in the playoffs,
that makes 8.
Sure. Nobody is saying keep him up here, but you can showcase him and at least understand what you get. I'm sick and tired of the endless parade of no's without justification. Like, I just can't stand it. Like,
you wouldn't even be able to keep him up.
Me.
Like you said, we have 4 games. What's there to lose? You play him for the 4 games, go into the playoffs, probably against a really good opponent, and he gets some even more valuable experience. He gets to touch some playoff ice, and who knows? Maybe he's a spark. And I don't know how much of enough of one, but it's not like we're sitting with 20, 25 plus games, left in the calendar year for the Bruins. You've got 4 games left. So yeah, I'm with you on that too, Cam. I don't see the hurt.
Before Steve goes, the caveat to that, though, is that if Higgins signs as a ELC, you can't send him back down to Providence until the conclusion of the Bruins season. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to call him up, he has to play. You're going to have to play him no matter what, good, bad, or what have you.
Yeah, and I think that could be good. And the boys would protect him. We wouldn't let a finger on him, and if someone does, we'll kill him. But yeah, I think he could.
Jack's going to show up to the rink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for Higgins, absolutely. Yeah, it's frustrating for sure. I don't know, Steve. What do you think? Do we do it?
I don't know. To be honest with you, it's just like you said. There's 4 games left.
Yeah,
it's tough because there's 4 games left. If you get swept in the playoff, it's 8, and then I'll get sent back down to Providence and hopefully play a long campaign for the AHL playoffs. It's just it's tough because you have other people that could bring a spark up that won't burn a year off of the deal for 8 games, right? And I get both sides of the argument, but I think we need to start shifting I think we need to work with what we got, because that's what we have for the whole year. And we've seen times where it's been abysmal, and we've seen times where it's been absolutely lights out stunning, right? And I think we need to start moving things with what we got. That way we can figure out where to put other people. I think, in my own opinion, right, we need Geeky to get going. Put him with Pasta.
That's what they did in Philadelphia, and it helped.
Work. He looked
a little better. I mean, from anything, he still had his struggles. But
to be fair, they played the night before, so that's not really. I want to take that with a grain of salt.
He looked more active. He was out there more on the ice. He was more noticeable. He actually had more shot attempts, and to be fair, he would miss some, and slammed his dick against the glass. But he looked noticeable. Whereas before he was looking. Thanks, man. Before he was looking rather miserable. I mean, miserable and invisible. And that might subside with some defense as well, putting those two together. Even though Pasta can be reliable, but sometimes if he's not feeling a 1-9, he's feeling a little lazy, which he can be, then it might not go well. So it's a trade-off.
And then I think we move Patra up to that third line.
Mm-hmm. Get him
and
up.
You know what? Maybe a Reichel in there for that third line too, to see what we can get with that. I'm not touching the second line. That's just me. I'm not touching that because they're the only ones producing right now. And they've been probably the most solid Bruins line 5-on-5 all year. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Goose, but I think they're probably up there with one of the best lines in the NHL this year.
They are. I think they're top 5 in terms of goal differential.
Yeah. Their metrics are insane.
So that's working, but we obviously need to figure out, what's going on. I do like the Pasta Minton Geeky kind of line going on. I want to see that with some rest and see what that looks like. And then for that third line, I mean, there's options that we can do, right? I mean, there's options. I think that it just depends on how Donnie wants to slice it up.
Look, I'll put it this way. I'm fine with Patra. I'm also fine with Higgins. I'm just done with the insufferable people that just say he's not ready and who have not watched a single game of the NCAA with him or have not watched single Providence Bruins game or just use scoreboards and stat lines as a means of assessing a player's capabilities. You just please go away. Like, thank God you're not. Thank God you are not a scout. Because if all you ever looked at was points, then Jesus.
Yeah, if we only looked at point production, what are we doing with Tanner Jeannot and Kastelik?
Yeah, and Sean Corrali.
Right? There's other things that go into the determination of what a player's worth and what their role is.
I wouldn't hate actually moving Minton to the left wing on the first line, put Lindholm up there because Lindholm's a good face-off guy, and you keep Pasternak up there. You keep the second line together, and then you have Reichel, Patra, and Geeky because I think that's speed, scoring, and passing right on that line. And then you put Jeannot, Marat, and Castilla because I'm sick and tired of also thinking Corrali's it or why we ever signed him to that. Like at the beginning, admittedly I was like, it's okay, we can bring him back and he'll be like a guy that rotates in and out. He's just been a constant. He's a great penalty killer, I'll give him that. But so isn't Patra. Patra can kill penalties just as well, and so can't Minton. And I feel like if you do that,
you know what, he's been getting his fair share of ice time with all the goddamn penalties we take.
Amen brother.
That's true.
That's what I would do. And then if you do decide that you want to give Higgins a chance, fine, then decide that. But like, just please, it's like, I'm not saying when I say or advocate for Higgins to come up, I'm not just saying keep him up here, because let's be real. Like 8 cups of coffee is not going to stunt your growth. But if you drank it every single day, it might stunt your growth. 8 games isn't going to kill this kid. Like, you know what I mean? He's 19 years old, plenty of time to be, molded. And people compare him to Lucas Reichel too, thinking Reichel's better than him. You're smoking crack. The kid's Reichel's 23 years old, has several games of NHL experience, and it's not a surprise that he learned the game in the NHL. And then when you take him in Providence and he has 5 points in 4 games, it's not surprising to me that he can do that. And it's not surprising to me Riley Tufte can do that either, because guess what? They've had NHL experience, so they already know how to play at an elite level. Like, you know what I mean? That's just how it happens. But either way, I'm happy with either or of those things. Like, you know what I mean? Patra, definitely, if you want to spark the lineup. Take Corrali out and maybe move Minton to the left wing and get Elias Lindholm some reps back on the first line, because he's a good faceoff guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways to definitely mold.
There's a billion
lines. There's ways to do it. And I'm really looking at, Sturm to do something here that actually makes a little bit of sense, right?
Sure.
Like something's got to give, especially with the case of the yips with the Boston Bruins, and it's just it's top down. And another point that I wanted to bring up, it's like you can't just rely on Pasta to do it, but also when Pasta wasn't stepping up, you had Charlie McAvoy stepping up and taking it, coast to coast, and even going behind the offensive net when he's a defenseman, right? Like that's usually not what's happening. And, that's fine and dandy every once in a while when you see an opportunity to make a break for it and get a couple good shots on goal, and, we cause a stoppage of play to get new players out, whatever it be, right? There's reasons for there's plays to be set up. It's just, you can't rely on that every single game. You can't.
Right. I agree. Let's shift to the potentially ugly. We covered the bad. Let's look at the potentially ugly. Playoffs. Anything and everything playoffs, right, guys?
Yep.
Right now, the Bruins sit somewhat comfortably in the wild card 1 spot. And I'm going to say this. It's because the teams below them are fumbling their opportunities. The Bruins have the hardest remaining schedule in the NHL. Had Ottawa and Detroit not somewhat collapsed in their opportunities to take advantage of the Bruins' losses, y'all would be singing a different tune. Money Puck right now has the Bruins entering the playoffs at about 98%. I would agree with that. But with Philly's win yesterday against Boston, they had a 34-point chance. It jumped all the way to 50%. That's a 16% swing.
For Philly? Their
Yes.
percentage? Wow.
Well,
that is how tight.
The Metro is not that good.
It doesn't matter.
That's still a crazy.
It's a crazy swing. It's a crazy swing.
The point being is you're not safe yet.
No.
So with 94 points, I'm not getting comfortable.
95.
95, sorry.
Had to do it to you. Well, we had the
I'm
loser
not getting
point.
comfortable.
Loser point. So
I love loser points. Love loser points. Not really, just only when they're for me. But right now, guys, the Bruins are in a playoff spot. 98% chance of making it. Four games remaining. We talked about that. Potential for maybe Potter to get a call up, Lamel, or hey, whatever. How do you guys feel so far going into that and looking into it? By the way, quick note. In December, the Bruins had a 24% chance of making the playoffs. 90%. It's been over 90% since March.
With that in mind, you feel pretty good about it. You know, you're a little uneasy with this past week and thinking about heading into the playoffs. But I mean, you got to feel pretty good about it. You know, they definitely did miss opportunities. Florida, big one, who basically, like we've said, played their AHL roster, and Tampa, who were without Hedman. You know, those are two games you should have gotten points out of. And again, you need to show up and get better, better as you're going towards the playoffs on the road. That's an area that you struggled all season. So going in, I don't feel that great about that. It's mixed feelings because you're so happy with where they are in ways that they've overachieved, and we kind of talked about that last week. But you know, I'm feeling okay, I guess. But this past week doesn't make for much optimism. You know, at least until they've secured their spot and they're in, and then we can evaluate their matchup. What's the likelihood of that? How are they best going to approach those games, that opponent? You know, and you know, can they get their road game up to where it should be? Which I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just looking ahead for the schedule right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we got Carolina tomorrow.
Oh,
we got Carolina tomorrow, and then Lightning at home on Saturday, and then at Blue Jackets, and then back home against the Devils. It's a must win. The Devils and the Blue Jackets are the must win, and I'm feeling actually pretty positive that we're going to make the playoffs. Right, like I'm feeling okay, and I'm pretty confident in the fact that we will probably be the first wild card. I think that's from where I'm sitting is a fair assumption. And what I think is good for this team is that they play tomorrow, Tuesday. Their next game isn't until Saturday. So they got a good little bit of rest going in. And the playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs start the 19th. Their last game is the 14th. So they're getting an additional 4 days of rest. So that's, or 3 days of rest, however you want to cut it up, whatever. No, 5 days. I'm right.
I'm right.
He just went from 4 to 3 to 5. He's covering all the bases.
I'm sorry. But and you could actually stretch that out to 5 days and get your little bit of rest, because if you don't, just because the playoffs start on
doesn't mean you're playing.
You're playing. You could be playing Monday, right? So you can get 5 days securely of rest, possibly 6, and you're getting what, 5 days right now, or what? No, 4 days.
A few.
Yeah, you're getting a few. So
Let's not do hard math right now, Steve.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but I'm feeling confident that rest is going to come and help out this team because it's been a really tight March, and up until this past week, it's been really tight with April as well because of the condensed schedule. So this team, I just think they need a good bit of rest, and so confidently, I think I'm trying to stay optimistic. Right, I'm not a believer yet, but I'm optimistic that this team will make the playoffs, and depending on where everything lies and sits and stands, that's who you're gonna get, right? Like it's ugly, but they need 2 games that are must wins, and I'm very intrigued to see how they play against Carolina. I'm hoping that they get a point out of that.
I would take a point on Carolina, and I agree with you, Steve.
I think it's a win. If you get a point out of Carolina, that's a win.
Yeah, I agree. They're most likely playing wild card too, because now they do have 2 points up on Tampa, but also points are so close nowadays. So Tampa could end up taking the East, but I don't know. So yeah, interested how Carolina's going to go.
I'll take. Listen, I'll take it. I'll take whatever we can get tomorrow out of Carolina, be it a win or an overtime loss. That much I will take. I'm just concerned that you look at Carolina, that you can easily chop that up as a loss. You can look at Tampa Bay and you can be like, well, you can easily chop that up as a loss. Columbus plays hard.
Yep.
We did have to come back.
The only reason you won was that game against Columbus was because they collapsed. You had no business, in my opinion, winning that game when you didn't show up for 40 minutes.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, but they took advantage.
Honestly,
sorry,
Jack. Honestly, I'm starting Korpisalo against Tampa Bay, and I'm getting Swayman in on Columbus. You got to beat the team below you. You have to.
Yeah.
And then you got to start Swayman. You definitely start Swayman against Carolina. You start him against Columbus, and you start him against New Jersey. You got to do it. Those 3 games. Those are the 3 teams. Well, 2 of those teams are below you, so you got to beat them, and you need to rely on Swayman. Tampa Bay or Carolina, you can pick which one you want to have as a lost cause, but you need Swayman on those games. That's my opinion on it. But I think we do make the playoffs. You know what I mean? And because I think your biggest threat right now is Ottawa. Detroit is just collapsing. So I think
collapse. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yzerman's going to be fired.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you go into the playoffs, right, fellas? And then your most likely matchup is either going to be Tampa, Buffalo, or Carolina, one of those 3. Depending on where depending on where all those teams finish, including the Bruins, you're not going to play Montreal. So, in my opinion, I'd rather play Buffalo over Tampa, over Montreal, over Carolina. Carolina's the one I want to avoid the most. Montreal, second most. Tampa, I think you could take to a series. Buffalo, I think you can take to a series.
Yeah, I'm with you, Goose. That's my lineup for that as well. Yeah, Carolina scares me.
You know what's funny? I was in a conversation with some of my buddies, and a lot of them actually want Carolina first.
Because if you manage to beat them, you're in the Metro.
Exactly.
And then so if you somehow, it's the same narrative as 2022. If the Bruins were able to get by a really good Carolina team back then when they still had Marchand, Bergeron, McAvoy, and that whole set of Bruins, they could have made a run as well. And that was the year before they had their juggernaut season. And that's what they all said coming out from that playoff series. They
Metro's
weak. They feel like if they won that, they would have gone on the run. They could have maybe went to the final. Who knows? We never know.
You could get Pittsburgh or Philadelphia at that point, and guess that I would much rather that than having to go through Tampa, Buffalo, or Montreal. Again, I would
rather. Playoffs is scary. Playoffs is scary, but
I would take Buffalo, but Tampa, Montreal's scary, man.
I know. I would take Buffalo. I think even though they do have some players who have performed in the playoffs and have some experience as a whole, as what it's like as a team to fight and slug through a 7-game series. They have not experienced that in 15 years. And I just think the Bruins can find a way to crack that, but we wouldn't know till we see it.
By the way, real quick, and I know we're Bruins fans, but we have to give a ton of credit to Kent Hughes. And I hope that Sweeney can turn this team around as quickly as Kent Hughes turned around Montreal, because there is nothing I want to see more than 2 teams like Boston and Montreal that are at their best and they can play each other. Makes the league 1,000 times better. I want to see it. I love to see it. And to be honest with you, I as much as I am a Bruins fan, I loved Carey Price. It's
Yeah.
hard right now to find a
was a
guy on the
legend.
Montreal Canadiens that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I don't think any of them are dick bag players.
Cole
right
Caulfield, he's a Bruins killer. I hate to love him.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Like when he steps out on the ice against the Bruins, I want to rip my hair out as well. Like he knows how to bury us.
That's just me giving credit where credit's due.
No, big credit. You know, they've come a lot in the last years, and you know they had that miracle Cinderella run in 21. That was kind of lightning in the bottle, and then leading up to then and after was a lot of crap. But they've found their way out of it.
And to be fair, right, like to your point about Bruins Habs rivalry, it does make the league better. But also, you got to think about it. We've talked about this before, Cam, where when you have at least half of the original 6 teams doing really good, the league in general is a lot better, right?
Different story, yeah.
In this year, you know, Montreal's been down in the dumps for quite a few years.
Exactly.
They're out of the original 6 franchises, they're number 1 right now, and I'd put the Bruins at number 2. And then Detroit, and then you take your pick for the garbage rest. Toronto, dumpster fire.
Toronto's number 6. Sorry, you'll
I don't know. Actually, I think Toronto would be number 5 because Chicago has been really bad for several years, so they're still not cracking the top 3 pick. Or
so it would go Detroit, Toronto, Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh, New York.
And Rangers are dumpster fire as well. Toronto and New York are dumpster fire. At least Chicago has they're all young and they just need to get some more experience, right? But
they need to help Bedard, or else
it's just one of those things. But when you're reflecting it, it's cool. Montreal is the best out of the original 6 teams, and they're even not that good, right? And then you have the Bruins, who are number 2 on that list, and they're struggling obviously all season, and they've overachieved this season compared to last. But when you have that consistent level of at least half those teams fighting for in the playoffs or fighting for a playoff spot, it makes the league a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Look, definitely. I would love it if Boston and Montreal got to meet in the playoffs, just not round 1. You know what I mean? Just because I would like to see my season extended a little bit longer. I think you could try and take Montreal to 6 games, but I think that's really it. I don't see that series going 7. I feel like Montreal will wake up eventually. The only advantage that I think Boston would have in that case would be Swayman.
I was going to say goaltending. Swayman could come in and steal that series. But
that's all I got out of that. You're right, Jack. That's all I got in that. I mean, they're better than you offensively. Defensively, they're better than you to a degree. I think defensively, offensively, in terms of offensive defensemen, they're better than you, but you might have some inklings of better defensive aspects, like the McAvoy, the Lindholm, the Zadorov. I think in the Hampus, I think you have that to some degree, but maybe defense is a toss-up, but offense, it's not a question that they're better than you. Goaltending, I think that we're better than them, at least until Cam Fowler. I'm sorry, I think it's Cam Fowler. I can't remember who their goaltender is. That's young, but I would just love nothing more to see a Boston-Montreal matchup in the playoffs, just not round 1.
It's probably not going to happen. We'd have to move up into the top 3, and what it looks like right now, that top 3 is pretty solid.
Well, if we get Buffalo and Montreal manages to beat Tampa, there's your second round.
I think it would depend too on how many teams from the Atlantic make it to the playoffs. Because if it's 5 Atlantic teams, I don't have a chart in front of me that could tell you how that would shape out. But I think if it's 5 Atlantic teams, I think the Bruins would actually get someone from the Metro because they're the higher seed.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, so don't quote me on that. I'd have to pull out my handy dandy chart to figure that out, but it's a possibility. There's even a possibility or a world that could potentially exist where the Bruins in Montreal, if there's 5 Atlantic teams, if there was some miracle, could meet each other in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, it would be second round or the conference final. That's depending on circumstances. That's the most likely scenario if that were to happen. It's just obviously right now nothing's in lockstep, right?
Nope.
Even the number one for the Atlantic is not decided yet.
Oh,
There's
Exactly. Like,
still a huge point battle right now between Tampa and Buffalo. They're going back and forth.
And between Carolina and whoever's going to finish first in the Atlantic, again, Buffalo's 100.
Or do you mean in the conference? Because you
I
mentioned
get conference.
Carolina.
Sorry, I meant like conference, Eastern Conference, because Carolina's at 104, Buffalo's at 100, Tampa is at 102. It's very close. So, likely it's going to be Carolina, but.
Well, I think Tampa Bay has games in hand on Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, one in game in hand against Carolina.
So at
that 77.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Whoever has the most points in the Eastern Conference plays the wild card 2, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And then whoever's second right behind, plays wild card.
That aspect, Steve, of the original 1 to 8 seeding is still in place. So the division leaders play the wild cards, and whoever has the least amount of points of the division leaders will play wild card 1. And
I'm still a huge fan of the 1 through 8. Like,
so am I. Bring it back.
Bring it back.
I think most NHL fans would agree at this point that they're in favor of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are better, or I think a lot more people are a fan of that because it's just.
Want to know why? Want to know why I'm a huge fan of it? Because the Bruins would not be in a wild card spot.
Yeah, they'd be what, 5th?
Yeah, something along.
So we would play 4,
5 and 4 would play. Yeah,
joke.
So then, what would we play as 4 then? Who would be 4? Hypothetically, with the standings right now, I don't know. We have to look
do the math. Do the math, Jackie boy.
I don't do math.
I do math.
So okay, hold on, I got you. So it would be right now as it sits would be.
All right, so Bruins are 6th right now. Bruins are 6th right now. If I go to conference, it's Carolina, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, Montreal, Pittsburgh. Bruins 6, Ottawa 7th, Philadelphia 8.
So it'd be 1, 8, 2, 7, 3,
6,
4, 5. So whoever third is in what the Bruins are 6th. Who'd you say was third?
We would play Buffalo. Yeah, we play Buffalo.
Yeah. So boom. I'd still rather that. You want to know why? Because we wouldn't be a wild card spot. That's how ridiculous this shit is.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
And
it's terrible.
Honestly, it just kind of makes a lot more sense, right? Like you're not just fighting for whatever division, whatever it is. It's like, hey, like there's a lot more teams in front of us. That way, the divisional game or the non-divisional games are that much more important. So it's just. It's weird, but the way it's set up is the way we have to go about it, and that's just how it is right now. It's just I think a lot of things can change, right? Especially if I don't think I know for a fact that Carolina has locked up the Metro, right? So it depends on how many. So, if they rest their starters for the last 2 games, right, and they lose out on points. Right? How does that affect it? And also, but that's not going to affect the Metro division. They're still number 1 in the Metro. It all depends on what they want to or how they want to play it, right? So there's a lot of, even with the 4 games left, there's a lot of things that can go right or wrong with all of these teams mentioned.
Exactly. I mean, 1 game, 1 period could change the fate. So,
yep.
I think I've had to put her down like 10 times this episode. That's a record. Sorry, I had to say it.
I feel like that needs context. Like you just came out and said, like I have just had to put her down like 10 times this episode. Like who you putting down, Jack?
I mean,
my God,
what do you guys think? What else do we talk about? Who else do I gripe about?
Hey, listen, Piper just wants to be involved in this podcast, dude. We need a mascot.
We do.
Might be the wrong kind. Like that would be great if we had a Panthers mascot.
Yeah, if we had a Panthers podcast, she'd be perfect.
I know, right?
I know she'll be an honorary Bruin. No, that doesn't sound right.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
you'd be like an honorary kitten, but that's
honorary kitten.
So Cam, we've talked about the bad, we've talked about the ugly. What's the good?
The good is Pavel Zacha.
Pavel Zacha. Oh my God, my voice just had a trouble there.
Are you like you have to be like our comedic relief?
I am. I basically am. I'm here for a good time. I'm here for a good time and a good time only. And listen, I appreciate the viewers who have welcomed me on, and I'm just here.
You were just bloopers galore. Like I swear, like I'm just gonna start like whenever we clip things from this, I'm just gonna absolutely just look for the ones of him just being like like going crazy, and like with his googly eyes, that's all he's gonna do. That's what I'm gonna clip.
Have fun with that.
You're welcome. I will. I don't know why I said you're welcome. It's a Monday, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
Zacha.
so out of sync here. I'm
Listen,
so
I
out
am
of
a little
sync,
bit
dude.
too. We're coming together here. We're coming together. Pavel Zacha
on a Monday.
third NHL star of the month. Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Month of March. It's old news, right, guys? This broke a little while ago that Pavel Zacha got the third star of the month for the NHL.
Still worthy,
22 points, 16 games. Great player. He's eligible for a contract at the end of this season, or eligible to be extended, I should say. We still have him for another year at I believe it's $4.75 million. And wow, are we getting a great benefit out of that? He's 28 years old. His career stats, I want to bring this up. His career stats: 702 games played, 153 goals, 249 assists, 402 points, minus 30, 49.2 face-off win percentage. Since joining Boston in 2022-2023, 314 games played, 84 goals, 139 assists, 223 points. He's a plus 36, and he has a face-off win percentage of 53.3. Would you consider that an improvement?
Yes, because the Devils were over him, and I saw when we had this 1-for-1 trade, I was high on about it. I felt good about it.
Ask him how Eric Hall is doing.
Yeah.
Not even with the fucking team.
It was definitely just a player, I think, who needed a change of scenery, and he was a high draft pick, so a lot of high expectations, and he wasn't exactly meeting it, but he needed a change of scenery, he needed a revival to his game, and he needed to be brought into a really solid organization. No, this to Devils. I mean, they're a great organization too, but one of the history and culture of the Bruins, and was brought in with amazing players and still have great players around him. But the likes of Bergeron, of Pasternak, of I'm saying McAvoy again, but just from those guys from the time, the core that we had. So
he's got 62 points this season, fellas. And like I said, he's eligible for a contract extension as soon as the summer hits. Currently, he's at a contract value of about $4.75 million. What do you guys want to do with him?
Pay the man his money.
Yes. Maybe not a blank check. I said blank check last episode, so maybe not that. But I think upwards of $7 million. I don't know how great I feel about that with how old he is. I mean, how old he's going to be at the end of it. He's still pretty much in his prime and will be for a little bit more. But I think upwards of 6.25, $6.5 million extended. I think you're looking pretty good there.
Jack with the awesome. Jack had the awesome granular value. He goes 6.25 to like 6.67721 million.
I said 6.25 to 6.5.
I know. I'm just that's what you don't go in between those. You just pick either or. Like you're like, I'll either do 6.5 or 6.5.
Yeah, anything. Yes, I get what you're saying, but if it's within that range, it's probably either be 6.25 or 6.5. But it's within upwards, no more than 6.5. I think you're.
I love giving you shit.
I know you are. I know. I love taking shit. What?
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
I love taking a shit. Okay. I know you do. You and your like pre-game little poops before beer league. It's crazy.
Hey, sometimes, not every game, but I have like a 50-50 chance of doing it.
We had like 2 great shows before this, and I feel like on a Monday, it's just like we took a whole bunch of edibles and we just decided to get on and talk absolute nonsense about puck.
This is a family show, Cam. But yes.
Yeah, I was talking about brownies.
Yeah, yummy brownies.
Yummy brownies, man. Steve, what are you thinking about his contract? Well, what would you do, Steve? Like term and money. What are you thinking for term and money?
7 for 5.
7 for 5.
Yep.
Are you talking about 7 years at $5 million a year, or are you talking about $7 million for 5 years?
5 years.
Oh, okay. I feel a lot better now.
Well, still, that's a lot, but yeah. What's your justification behind it?
Well,
I
All
actually
right.
don't
Well,
hate
if you
it.
give him 6 years, it'll actually be 7 years because there's already a year on it. So if you give him 5 years, you already have him for 6 years locked up, right?
Mhm.
So the next year he's at his contract rate, and you know what? I'd give him re-signing bonuses for next year to keep him happy with making a little bit more money, right? And they've done that. They've made the money work for other players, and he's obviously producing. Again, you deserve to pay the players or the players that show up consistently, and they're a top five. He's on a top five line in the NHL. He's producing. He's keeping you guys alive for the past month, right?
Yep.
Like you need to pay the man his money. He's playing on the
Yeah.
second line. You want to keep him locked down. That's just what you want to do, and that'll take him throughout his prime, right? So by the time that contract's over, so 6 years, he's 28 years old. He'll be 34 or when that contract's over. So, and if you want to resign him for another 2-year stint at less money, like 3 mil, 2.5, whatever it be,
He might be looking at another raise.
I don't think he's going to look at another raise, especially being 34 years old. I mean,
No,
there's a
you
lot
never
of
know.
it depends on a lot of things.
It does.
It does. It depends on a lot can happen in a year, and
I mean, look at Stammer. I mean, I know Stammer's a better player, and he was a better player, but like, just look at Stamkos and what he got. I think
he's
at
a household
36.
name. He's a household name, right?
Sure.
Like that's the thing. I think with household name players, the Ovechkins, the Stamkos. There's literally how many other ones are out there, right? They're going to get paid more because of their name value, and it is what it is. But I think $7 million a year, especially with the cap going up, is for 5 years is more than fair for this guy to go through his prime and have the next 6 years of his life locked down. I'd even give him a no trade clause.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I wouldn't say a no movement clause because that's just what it is. But a no trade clause, maybe a half, whatever it is, however they break it down, where you select, 10 teams that you don't want to go to. There's a partial.
What? What do you, Mario? Really?
No, I don't know what he's doing over there.
I'm having fun, man.
What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I actually really like the 5 by 7 million. I don't.
Well, you had that backwards.
No, 5 years at 7 million.
5 years. Okay, 5 years at 7 million.
Yeah, typically, I mean, the way I've seen it, like I always do term than value. But you could do it either way. But that's just how I
always see it the other way. I always see it money and then term.
Oh, yeah. See, for me, I don't know. Maybe it could just be my autistic brain.
I'm definitely making a compilation after this episode. I'm gonna post a TikTok of Piper counter of me putting her down counter, like Piper being taken off my desk counter, because that is viral content right there.
For cat lovers, maybe. For Zacha though, yeah, I really like the 5 years by.
That was random.
For Zacha though, like I love the 5 years at 7 million. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that might get him to sign because he'll look at it and be like, oh, 34, I can go for another payment. I do worry Zacha looks at that Lindholm contract and says, this guy's making close to 8. I'm doing a lot more. I have a feeling that Zacha might push for that and that the Bruins might yield to it. I think I'd be okay with 5 years at 8 or 6 years at 8, because then at that point you're 35. I'm a little hesitant. Again, I'm just a little hesitant. I think you might see him in the $7 to $8 million range. I'd like to get him closer to 7, maybe 7.5 at most. It's hard for me to tell. I'm not great with contracts. I'm really not. But if I was the GM and if I could be like, hey, you're doing great here, you're obviously going to be a mainstay. I'll give you, if 7 million won't do it for you, I'll give you 7.5 million. I'll give you this bonus, and then I'll attach a no movement clause to it. Because to hell with the no trade, I'll give him a full NMC if it gets him to sign it. You know what I mean? I think at that point, you can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the second line and you're playing the way you do, I think the no trade clause goes a lot better than a no movement clause. I think organizationally, with the structure of how things work, I think, hey, basically with the no trade clause, it's just, hey, we're not going to trade you, and you don't have to worry about moving mid-season. You don't have to worry about doing things with your family, all that stuff. That's a lot of security bonus. I don't think we need to extend the no movement clause. I think that's overselling it a little bit.
I just think if it meant getting him signed for the cheaper value, I would do it.
Okay, I mean, I see where you're coming from.
Otherwise, you might be looking at $8 million with some protection. You know what I mean? I would rather just say $7 million full protection, call it done.
Yeah.
Because then with the way the cap is going up, I just think that $7 million is easily going to be eaten up on the third line left wing or third line center, and you can just call it a day. You know what I mean? Like that's what you could do. And plus he's gotten better. Like he's been good this season. So I think he's earning it. I don't know if the Bruins extend him right away though. I think that they might say, "Hey, let's get halfway through the season into the 2026-2027 season. We'll evaluate you then, and then we'll get the pen to paper." Like, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that the talks will start this summer to start laying the framework, and I hope that's what they would do. Like, really get that conversation going, lay the foundation, and you can just say, and Sweeney can just be like you, Steve. He'll put a contract out and say, "We're willing to offer you 5 years, $7 million right now." And Zacha just goes, "This is a decent start. Let's work on it." That's where I want the Bruins approach or what I want the Bruins approach to be. I want them to start the framework and start it on a good foot.
Yeah.
Because he's a UFA, not an RFA. So
I think if you want the best chance to sign him to a deal that both parties are happy about, yeah, you got to start those talks early.
Yeah, and you got to go in with good faith negotiation too. That's
exactly.
Really go because he's in his prime, but he only entered his prime a couple years ago. So it's like you want to lock him down for his prime, and I think Don Sweeney knows that. In order for him to keep his job, you keep the guy that has been solidly producing for you all year, and I mean, but to your point, if you don't get this done this summer, players play really well when they're in a contract extension or in a contract year. So like if he's playing this good this year and then he doesn't sign anything this summer, next year, oh boy, Don Sweeney's gonna pay. That's how it's gonna be.
Yeah, he has to keep that in mind.
That's why I say start the framework early. I will say this though, if the trade deadline approaches next year, and depending where you are in the standings, and if you aren't close to contract talks, bye-bye. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because if he's not even close and you guys are still worlds apart, I'm not taking that risk. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Especially not when you have Letrino, Higgins, Patra. I would rather get what you can out of him. If you burn that bridge, or if you are still worlds apart in contract talks and he's lighting up the league next year in a contract year, not taking the risk. But it also depends where you are in the standings. I should absolutely say that. Like, just take all of that into consideration, but that is way too much foreshadowing that we cannot predict at present. We can only focus on what we see now.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
All I can say though is for sure,
I'm very new to these talks as well. I'm very new to this. A lot of this, for viewers, maybe I'm a sponge. I'm taking in a lot, and so I provide my points when I can. Maybe that's just me trying not to feel bad about myself. But ultimately, I wish we keep the guy. I really do. And if he's lighting it up in a contract year like we saw with Marner, you got to burn that bridge earlier than later.
Listen, no opinion is wrong unless it's anyone but Steve's opinion.
Hey, you got a point.
It's good for discussion. So like my thoughts might differ from there, but I will say this: Asimon's probably not going to be here next year. Corrali, I doubt it.
Thank God.
I don't see it. Asimon's been benched more often than not, so I just don't see it. Corrali, sure, he's been a fourth line guy, but yeah, Costello, go get fourth line right wingers are a dime a dozen. You don't need a guy like Corrali. Some money is also a little bit of money is also gonna be cleared up in this offseason, but also I think Don Sweeney is gonna try to make a play to improve the team in the offseason as well. I think there's frames there, so who knows? Who absolutely knows? But that's last on the Pavel Zacha talk, guys. Let's quickly do the big bad Bruin, and then let's close out the episode. I am going to be brutally honest here that I actually do not have a big bad Bruin. I thought that the team's play overall up in the forward group and the defensive group was not good enough for me. No one stood out to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I give a shout out to, I guess Corpy and our goaltending. They are the piece that is keeping us going. And I think last game as well, he had some incredible saves. But as a whole, yeah, no one really stood out. But honorary mention.
Point.
Honorary
Fair
mention
point, Jack.
We're in agreement.
Fair point, Jack.
I'm no one.
Fair point, Jack. Actually,
I'm no one. I'm going
to give Jack a fair point. And screw you, Steve. Screw you, Steve. The goalies. I'll say the goalie tandem. If I have to have my arm twisted to pick something, I'm gonna say the goalie tandem because night in and night out, I feel like even though you can't get they don't get the wins, I feel like they've been the most consistent piece, good or bad, all season.
Yeah.
So I think it's the goalie tandem.
I think that's fair, guys.
Not giving the goal horn for it though. We're not playing the goal horn tonight for that.
We can't play the goal horn after this abysmal week. We didn't even come out or a win.
Yeah, and against two of the opponents, I think you should have beaten. So I mean, it is what it is. That was quick, short, sweet, to the point. No big bad Bruin. We are big bad sad. So that is what we are. But I mean, hopefully a bright week ahead. The playoffs are looming. The Bruins have a 98% chance of making it. And out of this entire season where so many doubts were had, guys, I mean, I don't want to say it's a negative thing. You're looking in at the playoffs, baby. That's really it.
Yep.
I can't wait. I love playoff hockey.
I can't wait for next week to talk about the final standings ish. It's
gonna be really exciting. We're coming down to the wire, like literally as close as you can. It's gonna be it's gonna be a fight.
We could clinch on Sunday. It depends on how the other games shake out. We absolutely could.
But we had a chance of clinching. We had a chance of clinching yesterday. I think there was different probabilities, but of course we lost.
I think it was but I think the chance of it was like less than 1%.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
that the scenarios had to work, but no.
Yeah.
But no, genuinely, guys, like it's doom and gloom because we had a bad week, but realistically, you're looking at playoff hockey. No one had this team in the playoffs. Well, I'm sorry. Some people will say like I have this team contending for a wild card spot. Fine, cool, sure. Contending for a wild card spot and being in a wild card spot, not the same. No. Contention is not the same as actually making it. So they've definitely exceeded expectations. They're playing with house money. I get it. And I get why Bruins fans can also be insanely frustrated with this team, especially with the month of March that they have. But honestly, guys, at the end of the season,
let's be happy.
We're going to have 4 more games, potentially. I don't want to just jinx it or anything, but
4 more games at minimum.
At minimum, guys. And I know this episode kind of seemed like we were ragging on the Bruins too. I mean, like rightfully so after that week, but you want to know what?
We care, man. We want the best for them.
My vibes are still high.
Vibes are high.
Vibes are good.
Despite me absolutely ripping into the fuckery that was this 0-2-1 week. Anyway, guys, final thoughts before we close out the episode.
I think we hit it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, you want to see better efforts out of the road. That's something I've hit home a lot lately.
Better power play.
Better power play, better road efforts. Stop, falling back on your goalies completely when they're showing up for you night in and night out. Just get the pieces more together. You're very likely to make the playoffs unless a catastrophic collapse. You're most likely you're gonna get there. So you need to refine and you need to go in with hearts of lions. So let's do it.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this week's episode of HiBruiNation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of our platforms. check out our website, don'tfuckwithmedia.com, for all of our blogs. If you want your thoughts and comments heard on the podcast, don't be afraid to connect with us through YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. We look forward to hearing from you all. And until next time, go Bruins and fuck you, Jack.